Looking at everything about the current market, it has not been a very successful period, especially over the short term here. However, this is just the short term, and when we focus on the long term, I think we've got a very prosperous future ahead of us. That's because of a couple different things. Obviously, we've got two majors lined up already, one of which is just over 3 months away from starting to get a little bit of traction. Then we got the Shanghai major. Plus, when we look at the gaps between the last case and the last operation as a whole, I think it's very reasonable to believe one of these is probably going to be coming rather soon. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now, focusing on what you should be doing right now, the first thing I want to talk about are rare cases. Now, if we look at the long period, rare cases are one of the most successful investments that are so widespread, but focusing on the short term, you can see a lot of them are in quite a bit of trouble, down potentially 15-20%. This is not something we expected to see from this area, or at least me personally, I didn't expect to see this, because when we look at unboxing numbers, although they have fallen off quite significantly, going from about 40 million in a month to now just 6 million a week, which is 24 million in a month if we were on the current trajectory, we can see that a lot of these cases are still decreasing in supply. I mean, it's quite obvious the supply on almost all of these cases is not going to get any larger, and therefore I think it's probably going to be in your best interest, honestly speaking, if you want to start picking up some of these cases, to probably look at the current price point they're at. They could definitely go a little bit lower, but in my personal opinion, I don't see them going that much lower. Relatively speaking, a lot of them have started to kind of encroach on what we saw as the 6-month price, or what we were seeing 6 months ago. We can look at the 6-month graph and see that a lot of them haven't seen any major growth in the past 6 months, and we're talking about the longer period, which is really good from an investor point of view, because we can obviously see these cases do have demand, and when we look at a 1-year long graph, we can see that they have reached kind of a small equilibrium in price after we saw that massive peak back in April-ish time. Now, this is very important because I think it's going to be a very opportune time if you do want to get into the rare case market. I don't think it's going to be to your advantage in any way to try and wait this out and maybe drop another 5-10%, because as we can see what happens with these cases, the growth is almost immediate, and that's when the majority of your profit is made. Now, when it comes to Paris Capsules, it's a little bit of a different story. Now, focusing on them as a whole, I honestly think they're in a little bit of a struggle situation for the next upcoming months. Obviously, we know the Copenhagen major is a bit far away, but relatively speaking, it's not that far away in terms of what we're going to see for upcoming content, and I'm really worried about the Paris Capsules in the short term here, just because of the liquidity that these items currently have, and the fact that people who want them already have them, and there's not a ton of excess demand compared to the amount of supply for these capsules. Therefore, I would honestly say I would probably not be picking up any of the capsules in the current format, just because I think your dollars can go a lot farther somewhere else. Now, obviously, these capsules are probably at one of the lowest price points we've seen since the removal, and if you want to take that advantage to go ahead and jump into them, it's definitely a possibility, but I think your dollars are going to be much better utilized somewhere else, especially in the short term here. These capsules are long term, are probably going to be a good investment, but in the short term, I think you're going to be better off going for something else. Now, when we're talking about Paris stickers, it's not exactly the same story. Obviously, we can look at a lot of the Paris stickers, and when we're talking about Hollow specifically, we can see a lot of the prices have dropped quite significantly in the past month. Glitters are a little bit of a similar story, not as significant of a drop, and when we're talking about papers, most of them were 3 cents anyways. Now, focusing in on this area, I do still think there's a lot of potential when it comes to these stickers from Paris over a longer period of time. We can look at exactly what happened with Stockholm and Antwerp and some of the underinvested stickers there. With that being said, I don't think Paris Hollows are really in the position that I would want them to be currently to go ahead and invest in. I still think they're, relatively speaking, a little bit too expensive. Focusing in on the glitters and the papers, when we're talking long term, they're going to have a massive supply, but I think if you can find some of these that are a little bit more of the hidden gems, they don't have some alternatives out there, it could be a very prosperous position if you can pick out the right ones specifically. Now, focusing in on the Playskins market, there's going to be a couple different things, but basically we're going to be focusing on skins under $100 because these are the most volatile in a shorter period. A lot of these skins more expensive than this are just more stable. Now, focusing in on a lot of these skins, we're obviously seeing a pretty similar correlation to the drop we saw in players. The prices go down, the people playing go down, and overall the demand for that skin does go down in the short term. Now, one big mistake I see a lot of people make is they pick up Playskins as an investment. These are not investments. These are things that you are going to enjoy, and they probably are going to accrue a little bit of value over a longer period of time. A lot of these Playskins are not going to be the most amazing investments over a long period of time. However, you do have a decent chance here to make some profit off of a quick flip. That's because a lot of them are down potentially 20-25% from their peak value, and theoretically, if we do see the the player counts rise back up again, which I personally expect over a longer period of time, you're probably going to see your skins once again rise back up to that same value they were sitting at before. It's a great opportunity, and it's something that pretty much carries very little risk if you believe in the future of the game. Now, there's two massive mistakes I want to talk about in this video, the first of which is people that are just overly invested into their investments, and what I mean is they're constantly checking it, they're looking at the ups and the downs and trying to make a decision off of every small thing that happens in the market. The reason why CS investing is so much more profitable than any other type of online investing or any investments in general is because people are really dumb here, and that's why you're able to make such a long, strenuous amount of profit over a longer period of time, because people are dumb, they sell here, they buy here, and they make you that money. But if you are the person that's doing that, you're not going to make any money. Don't check your investments every day, and if you do, at least try not to make a decision off of that in the current form. The other big mistake I see a lot of people make is they look at the high tier market and they think that's directly correlated to their specific investments. If I wanted to honestly say what the high tier market is, basically it's just the overall outlook of how people think the market is going to perform over the next upcoming months or weeks. We can obviously look at these very expensive items, but we're not investing into these very expensive items for a reason. They're usually not consumable, and they're usually just Playskins. We want to invest into cases and items that have demand and a decreasing supply for a specific reason. Now, should you sell right now is actually a question. It could go yes or no. Now, I'm not going to clown you for asking, but if you have some of these long-term investments we've been talking about all video, I think it'd be very foolish for you to go ahead and sell something that over a 1-year trajectory is on a very strong path. Over a 6-month trajectory, it's roughly even though. I mean, there's so many opportunities to make profit inside of the CS investing scene, but you need to hold out, and I think that's a very reasonable thing to want to expect is short-term profit, but it's not going to happen overnight. However, if you have some investments that you're really unsure about, it could actually be an okay time to sell and go ahead and hop into some of those investments we've been talking about all video. If you've just been sitting on a lot of RMR capsules and you don't want them anymore, you want something that's a little bit more stable, a little bit more safe, you could go ahead and sell those and hop into some other investments because those other investments are down in price. It's not the most logical thing to do, and you're probably going to lose a decent amount of your money in the short term here, but it's definitely a possibility if you really want to go down that route. Now, what should you be doing right now? Well, first up, I think it's a great opportunity to go ahead and pick up some good investments if you don't have them already. If you've got them already, it's completely okay to not accumulate more and not take on a little bit more risk. Obviously, we think the market's going to go ahead and pan out long term, but there's no guarantees, especially inside of a game dynamic. However, if you do have some items, I don't think selling is probably going to be the most liquid alternative for you. It's not going to be the best option unless you're looking at some items that you really want to get rid of and instead go into some great investments. It's definitely a possibility if you want to do that, but just obviously make sure you know what you're doing. But most importantly, the biggest thing overall is to make sure you have a strong reason for you're doing whatever you're going to be doing. Don't sell because of a 1-day decrease. Don't buy because of a 1-day increase. But that's all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.